Welcome back to So You Really Want to Learn Latin, and today we're going to be looking at a couple of ways of saying other in Latin. Okay, now we'll kick off with alius, which means other, and alius, alia, aliud. It's a kind of light version of ille, ella, alud, I suppose. Alius, alia, aliud. Alium, aliam, aliud. Alius, 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 alii, 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 alio, alia, alio. Now there's a couple of things to say about those genitive and dative forms, but I'll come back to that. We'll just nail the plural. Ali, alii, alia, alius, alias, alia, aliorum, aliarum, aliorum, aliis, 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 aliis. Okay, so nothing funny about the plural actually. The plural is just like bonus. Okay, now this word basically just means other, as in, you know, like with another friend, cum alio amico. Okay, it means other in the sense of, you know, not this one, but another one. Now there is another word for other, and this is where you mean the other of two, specifically of two, and it is alter. Alter, altera, alterum. Now in English we get the word alternative, so that's the easy way to think of it. You have an alternative. And this one goes alter, altera, alterum, alterum, alteram, alterum, alterius, 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 alteri, 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 altero, altera, altero. And then the plural, just like bonus, alteri, alteri, altera, alteros, alteras, altera, alterorum, alterarum, alterorum, alteris, 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 alteris. Okay, now the reason we're learning these together is that some of the forms are kind of shared. So for example, the genitive of alius, that weird alius form, alius, 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 normally the Romans used alterius. In other words, the genitive singular of alter. And in the dative, that rather weird form alius has in the dative alii, they didn't much like that either, and they tended to use alteri, in other words, the dative of alter. Okay, so although it's good practice to learn alius correctly with its genitive of alius and its dative of alii, you tend not to see those forms. You tend, in the genitive and the dative of the word for other, to see alterius and alteri. Okay, and then while we're talking about the word other, another word for other is something like where you say, you know, I was sitting here and the others went swimming. If by other you mean the rest, we use ceteri in the plural. Ceteri, ceteri, or cetera, those forms mean the others in the sense of the remaining people, the rest of the people, the other people. And that, of course, is where we get the phrase etc., which just means and other things, and the other things, et cetera. Okay, so there's actually three words for other. We've got alius, when we just mean another, you know, different. We've got alter, when we mean another of two, as an alternative. And we've got ceteri, when we mean the others in the sense of the rest of the people or things we were talking about. So just before we go on and do some practice with all of this stuff, it's our friend. So just before we go on and do some practice with the stuff, I just want to have a little look at some of the vocabulary that we are asking you to learn in Chapter 9. Load of verbs, mainly deponent and semi-deponent verbs, and they're ones we've covered in recent videos. Things like audeo, audere, ausasum, which means I dare, very good. Conor, conari, conatusum, I try, good. Gaudeo, gauderi, gawissusum, I rejoice. Excellent. Irasko, iraski, iratusum. I am angry. Now that one followed by the dative. So if you are angry with someone, you don't say with them, you just put them in the dative. Okay, so irasko tibi, I'm angry with you. We've got loquo, loqui, locutusum, I speak. Miro, mirari, miratusum, I wonder at. Nasco, nasci natus sum, I am born. We get, nativity and natal and that sort of thing. Proficiscor, proficisci, profectus sum, I set out. That's a great verb. And then lots of compounds of the verb gradior. Now you don't often see gradior used actually, but what you do see is the compounds of gradior. So typically progredior, progredi, progressum, which means I advance, I go forward. Ingredior, ingredi, ingressum, which means I go in. Agredior, agredi, agressum, which means I go out. Okay, so when you see gred in a verb with a prefix on the front, a pro or an in or an a or an x, that kind of prefix, you can work out that the grid bit is talking about moving, and then you're either moving forward or in or out. Or across. Transgredior would mean to go across. Okay, lovely little verb. We've got sequor, sequi, secutus sum, I follow. Utor, uti, usasum, followed by the ablative. That's really weird. Now that means to use. Okay, so do make sure you learn your vocab. Now we'll just do a couple of sentences just to keep us on our toes. So the first one we want is, after the battle, the enemy general adopted another plan. Okay, after the battle, post proelium. Okay, post plus the accusative, post proelium. The enemy general. Okay, so that's probably going to be the general of the enemy, dux hostium. Okay, the enemy general is the general of the enemy, dux hostium. Adopted another plan. Right, now, the Latin for to adopt a plan is quite a funny little phrase. It is consilium capio, to take a plan. Okay, that's to adopt a plan. So, now he adopted another plan. Okay, just a different one. So that will be consilium aliud capit. Aliud, okay? Alius, alia, aliud. Alium, aliam, aliud. So that is its neuter accusative singular form. And then he did it, keep it. You could have said capiebat, I suppose, but either way, that's our using alius, meaning other. Okay, number 2 is quite fun. We set out before the others had won another victory. Okay, now we won't worry too much about the word order as we do this. So we set out, that's using this verb proficiscor, to set out. So we set out, profecti sumus. Okay, perfect tense of a deponent verb, profecti sumus. We set out, and we set out before the others had won. So, antequam, so that's before, and it's going to be introducing a clause, before the others had won another victory. Okay, now there's a couple of things to point out here. First of all, antequam, meaning before, is regularly followed by a perfect tense in Latin, which in English we translate as if it were a pluperfect. Okay, so if you flip that on its head, when you're trying to say before we had done something, or before they had, you're going to be using antiquam plus the perfect tense, although it sounds like a pluperfect. Okay, so before the others, now before the others, by that you mean the rest of the people. Okay, so antequam ceteri had won another victory. Okay, so another victory is going to be victoriam aliam, okay, another victory. And then the Latin for to win, when it means to win a victory, this is just one of those things you learn as you go along. To win a victory in Latin is victoriam pario. Now, pario is a mixed conjugation verb. It goes pario, parere, parere, peperi partus. So before the others had won, we need the perfect tense of pario. So that's peperi, third person plural, pepererunt, pepererunt. Okay, so antequam ceteri victoriam aliam pepererunt. Okay, that's the before the others had won another victory, and then we set out profecti summus. And as I say, you can muck around with the order of that to get the main verb at the very end, which is really where it should be. Okay, and just do another one. The bravest soldiers were fighting for many hours, but the others had fled. Okay, so the bravest soldiers, Latin for brave, audax is bold, or fortis is brave. Okay, so we'll use fortis. Milites fortissimi, okay, the bravest soldiers were fighting for many hours. Okay, for many hours, that's time how long. Multas horas were fighting pungnabant, but the others had fled. Said the others, now we mean the rest of the people, so that's ceteri, had fled. Latin for to flee, fugio, fugere, fugi. So the others had fled. Ceteri fugerant. The others had fled. Fugerant. Okay, so, quite a lot going on here. We've got 3 words for other. We're revising a little bit of stuff there. Expressions of time, time how long. We are remembering some rules that we've mentioned recently to do with when you use a perfect tense in Latin, where you might have expected a pluperfect. Okay, and we'll just finish up with a little bit of English derivation work. I love this stuff. The links between the Latin language and the English language is just incredible. So at exercise 9.11, we've got huge fun. I've given you 10 English words, and you've just got to work out which Latin words they come from and what the link is. Okay, so number 1, we've got alternative. Okay, you can work that one out. Second one, sequence. Okay. Third one, progress. Irascible. Loquacious, great word. Okay, we're on to number 6 now, mortuary. Number 7, orient, as in the Orient. Number 8, admirable. Number 9, ingress, there was an ingress of water. And number 10, egress. Okay, so 10 little words there. Alternative, I'm sure you've nailed that, from alter, other of to. Sequence, coming from sequor, sequi secutusum, I follow, so it's the following on, the sequence. Progress, number 3, is coming from progredior, progredi progressus sum. As you advance, you are making progress. Number 4, irascible. If you are irascible, you kind of tend to get angry. from iraskor, I am angry. Number 5, loquacious. Well, if you are loquacious, you speak a lot, and that's from loquor, loqui locutusum. Number 6, a mortuary is where they put dead bodies, from morior, mori mortuusum, I die. Number 7, the Orient is the east. The Orient Express is that train that used to set off towards the east, I suppose. We three kings of Orient are there of the east. Number 8, admirable, comes from miror, mirari, miratusum, I wonder at. Number 9, ingress, well that's from ingredior. And number 10, egress, is from agredior. Okay. So compound verbs actually in Latin are great because very often the prefix at the beginning tells you the kind of direction of travel, if you like, of the verb. And it's often on a kind of basic word that is used again and again. Now, gredior is progredior, ingredior, agredior, transgredior. Okay, and you can see which way the movement is by the prefix. Okay, right, enough is enough, I think, for now. That has pretty much nailed chapter 9, and we're on to the final hurdle as we go into chapter 10, and then we've nailed it, smacked it, smashed it, and all doing really well. So keep up the good progress. Let me know if you're having any troubles, and I'll see you back on this channel very soon.